All right, everyone, so let's talk about a Biden presidency. At this point, we still don't know who's going to be the president. The liberals are still saying, well, Biden won, so get over it, guys. Trump's a sore loser. And then you have the right-wingers who are saying, no, this election has been manipulated. There's fraud. There's, serious funny business going on. How come they didn't count all the ballots in this particular state, especially in Nevada? How come, or in Nevada or Arizona, one of those states, I don't remember. How come, they stopped counting in certain states? There's funny business going on. There's fraud going on, etc., etc. So you're having this back and forth transpiring before our eyes, and as we speak, there is a massive movement online to disseminate propaganda. The right wing is spreading propaganda. The left wing is, of course, standing by their position. Trump is a sore loser. The liberals, they have been questioning the Trump presidency before Trump was even elected. They were already saying, well, Trump is being backed by the Russians, etc., etc. And it was quite obvious that Trump was going to be the president before the 2016 election. And they were already saying things like, well, if he wins, well, it's obviously going to be that Trump was backed by the Russians and the Kremlin, and we're going to have a puppet of Putin and all that stuff. So they would question the presidency of Trump no matter what, even if it was obvious that Trump won the re-election. They would be questioning that. They would be saying, well, he's a puppet of Putin. We are now, the United States is now a satellite state of the Kremlin, of the Russian Federation, yada, yada, yada. Coming from people who praise Bernie Sanders, who at one point in time was revering communist regimes and Soviet-backed governments. So we've already seen protests. We're already seeing protests. We are already seeing violence in the streets. And there was a report that came out yesterday saying that in Pennsylvania, there are already right-wing militias who are preparing for a Biden election. And there is a strong chance that we are going to be seeing right-wing violence. We've already seen blood in the streets. There was a Trump supporter who was stabbed in the midst of a clash between left-wing fanatics and right-wing Proud Boy radicals. And the Trump supporting activist was stabbed. She was stabbed by some Antifa lunatics, or an Antifa lunatic amongst the little group of Antifa fanatics who were in the clash. The fact that you had the Proud Boys in that clash means that the idea of political violence it's becoming more and more acceptable. The concept of political violence is becoming more and more normalized. This is something that we have become accustomed to. We've become accustomed to this for quite some time now. You can go all the way back to the Obama administration and read about the Ferguson riots and things like that. And now the idea of a right-wing militia, armed right-wing fanatics, is also becoming normalized. And a lot of conservatives have grown to accept it. And not only that, a lot of conservatives have become almost very positive, very favorable to the idea of right-wing mercenaries. And I find that to be, frankly, freaking scary. Because I don't want to see right-wing mercenaries armed and walking in the streets. I don't want to see it. But right-wingers have become favorable towards it because of the left-wing violence. So we've had so much Antifa violence, looting, the destruction of businesses, the destruction of property, the idea of physically assaulting people, calling them Nazis because they supported Donald Trump. This has pissed off people so much that when they see right-wing militias, when they see right-wing radicals armed with guns, they say, well, good for them. It's the same reason why people supported the Nazis. A lot of Germans supported the Nazis not because they just woke up from their beds and said, oh yeah, I feel like supporting Hitler today. It's because they saw so much craziness from the communists in Germany that they said, well, this Hitler guy is our savior. This is how fascism is created. This is how fascism becomes popular. Fascism doesn't become popular because people just decide to arbitrarily accept fascism. There has to be something taking place that people do not like to the point that they will support fascism. Okay? If anything, the left is not promoting good things for society. They're not. The left is really creating fascist. It's like BLM is creating racist. So here's the thing, though. Who's going to become president? It's very close. And at the same time, we are in the midst of this political struggle between the right and the left. I was very confident that Trump was going to win, and it's looking very, very gray at this moment. I was very confident for the 2016 election. And in the night of the election in 2016, it went by very smoothly. It went by very fast. Of course, you had all of the left-wing lunatics who were saying, well, he was appointed by Russia, guys, helped by the Russians. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. A Biden presidency, which is very, very possible right now, a Biden presidency isn't going to be that bad. A Biden presidency is not going to be that bad. Here's the thing. I have been critical of Donald Trump. I make no issue of this. I'm not acting as if now I'm supporting Donald Trump. I haven't changed my mind on my criticism for Donald Trump. I'm not going to pretend that I never made any criticism against Donald Trump. I stand by my criticism of the Trump administration, just as I stand by my criticism for the Obama administration. No matter who takes office, I will give what is deserved. I will criticize what needs to be criticized, and I will praise what needs to be praised. Bottom line. One thing that was great about Donald Trump was the fact that he appointed conservative Supreme Court justices. He appointed Kavanaugh, and he appointed Comey, Amy Coney Barrett. Now, just recently, there has been a Supreme Court case between the forces of Sodom and a Catholic adoption agency in Pennsylvania. The LGBT is saying, well, we are being discriminated against because this Catholic adoption agency does not want to allow gay couples to adopt children from their agency. And it's gone all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the conservative justices are so far being sympathetic towards the Catholic adoption agency. This is great. I think this is awesome. I love this. I was reading about this today. I hope this trend continues on. There are now 6 conservative Supreme Court justices. We have Alito, we have Gorsuch, we have Barrett, we have Clarence Thomas, and we have Roberts. Now, Roberts is the only one who's kind of questionable. But nonetheless, we have 6 justices who lean conservative, and that we have 4 justices who are liberal, especially Sotomayor, who looks like she is a community organizer for the Latina left-wing club at the University of, UC Davis somewhere. But thanks to Trump, we have a majority conservative Supreme Court, And that is awesome. And even if Trump is no longer the president, and we have a Biden presidency, and we have Kamala Harris screaming at everyone about how I'm speaking, we will still be okay because we have the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has Clarence Thomas, who is awesome. We have Alito. We have Comey Barrett. The only one who's questionable is Roberts, from what I've seen so far. We also have Gorsuch. And so I'm not going to sit here and make some crazy prediction that, you know, well, because we have a majority Supreme Court, we're going to overturn Roe v. Wade. The abortion industry in the United States is so wealthy and so powerful, I doubt that would happen. If it does, praise be to the heavens, but I doubt that's going to happen. But nonetheless, we have that foothold in the Supreme Court. That is great. That's one thing. And this is what pisses me off about these evangelicals who voted for Biden. They exist. I've seen them. In fact, a few days ago, I was talking to this girl, and she's evangelical, pro-life, activist. She voted for Biden. I was like, what the hell is wrong with it? You voted for Biden. You see, I have criticism for Donald Trump, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. But as a conservative, you should still support Trump because of the fact that he put in conservatives in the Supreme Court. Because of that fact, you should support Donald Trump. Like, by virtue of that, by the fact that he put in conservatives in the Supreme Court, that right there is reason enough to support him. But even if he's gone, you still have those Supreme Court justices. Trump left his mark. Plus, we have a majority Republican Senate. So, the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell. So, Biden is going to be having a hard time. The Democrats are going to be having a hard time. So, that is what I'm thankful for in regards to a Trump presidency. So, we're going to be okay. We are going to be seeing the same battle that we've been seeing for a long time. When Obama was president, we had all these Republicans in the Congress, and Obama had difficulty doing what he wanted. We're going to be seeing the same political struggle that we've been seeing for decades. The same political struggles. Now, the Democrats have been talking about, a blue wave. Well, we didn't really see much of a blue wave, other than the fact that we saw, a lot of numbers for Biden. But nonetheless, we saw a ton of numbers for Donald Trump. The country is split down the middle. People are saying, well, Texas is turning blue. It may be that in the future, Texas will become a swing state. It's possible. It's very possible. But nonetheless, even in that regard, we are still split down the middle. So, now let's get into a little different subject here. My criticism of the Trump administration, let's get into this. One of my biggest problems with the Trump administration was how they reversed the Iran deal. Now, I was critical of the Iran deal when Obama was president, but then I actually started reading on the Iran deal. And it really wasn't as bad as conservatives made it out to be. The Iran deal was actually in accordance to typical American foreign policy when it comes to controlling other countries. America is an empire. You have these sycophantal Americans who will say, that's not true, America is an individual country just unto itself. No, America is an empire. And the power that America has been able to garner for itself is something that every empire in the past would be envying. The British Empire, the British still envy us, by the way. They're still pissed. That's why every time you watch a 007 movie, they usually portray Americans as, snobbish assholes, which, Americans are quite controlling. But the British are still jealous. The French are still jealous. The Japanese still hate us because the United States destroyed their empire. Thank God. The Russians are still pissed. So America is an empire that receives the envy of every other regional power out there. The Turks want to revive their Ottoman Empire, and they're doing that on the back of the United States. So America, under the Obama administration, wanted to control the Iranians. How does America control the world? America controls the world by two things. It's very simple. You don't have to go to university to understand this. America controls the world by money and firepower. Our first result is money. Hey, if you work with us, you'll make money. We'll buy your bananas, Guatemala. Just, do what we tell you. We'll buy your stuff. We'll buy your electronics. We'll buy your cheap plastic crap, China. We'll put it in a Walmart. We'll sell it to kids. We'll buy your produce. Whatever. You buy our stuff. We work with each other. We make money. We're both happy. That's how America works. Once you mess with us, America works like a drug cartel. Let's make no mistake. The drug cartel, traditionally, mafias, different organized crime organizations, things like that, they generally work in a way that if you don't mess with their money, they're not your enemy. Once you mess with their money, you are their enemy, and they will kill you. Or, at first they'll warn you if they're Italian. If they're Mexican, they'll just kill you. America works like a drug cartel. We both make money. You make money from us, we'll make money from you. We're both happy. Once you mess with our money, you're dead. Muammar Gaddafi wanted to get out of the US dollar, wanted to get to the gold standard. He's dead. Bottom line, America works like a mafia, because America is a mob. Bottom line. So Iran was kind of this rogue state, and it still is, but it was this rogue state, and the Obama administration came up with a way to control Iran. We'll make money. Iran, you want to make money, right? You've been isolated and disenfranchised from the international economy, from international commerce. You're making money with the Russians and the North Koreans, but that's not really that impressive. You want to make money with the Europeans. Great. So there was an Iran deal. They could use nuclear material for energy purposes, but they can't make weapons. And their production of nuclear material has to be limited. And as long as they keep that limitation, as long as they keep their nuclear material production confined to a certain limit, they can make money. They can make money with the Europeans. They can make money with other countries. And by doing so, the United States was controlling the Iranians. The Iranians, as far as we know, were complying with the standard, with the limitations. And there were many checks on Iran that reported back saying, well, Iran is complying with the rules. So the Trump administration overturns this, gets rid of it, cancels it. Now, there was a time where the Trump administration said, well, we're going to keep some of the things of the Iran deal because they realized that it really was helpful. But nonetheless, the damage was done, and they overturned it. They overturned it, and that wasn't a good idea, and I was always critical of that. Trump overturned it because Sheldon Adelson and some of his other funders wanted him to, and that's really the bottom line. So it was overturned. And what did the Iranians do? They said, well, if you don't want to... And it caused a big geopolitical problem for the United States. Because the Iranians said, well, if you don't want to work with us, if you want to not allow us to make money with the Europeans, well, we're going to continue making money with the Europeans anyway. And we're not going to listen to the rules of the Iran deal. And the Iranians then exceeded their nuclear production. They exceeded that production far past the limits that were imposed by the Iran deal, that were ordered by the Iran deal. So it actually didn't do any good, what Trump did in regards to the Iran deal. It actually did a lot of bad. And then you had the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. Now, Soleimani was an evil piece of crap, but killing him had bad consequences. Well, yes, there were some bad consequences in that it really exasperated anti-American sentiment in Iran. Now, I would say, though, that the killing of Soleimani, the effects of killing Soleimani were nowhere near as bad as the effects of overturning the Iran deal. I think that was the biggest mistake that Trump did. And another thing also that I'm very critical in regards to the Trump administration is Trump's unleashing of Turkey in Syria. Remember what happened. Trump said, well, who cares about Syria anymore? Those Arabs, they're spilling their blood for years, and we have no part in that. And let someone else deal with Syria. And what did Trump mean by that? What he meant by that was, we're going to allow the Turks to invade Syria, and the Turks invaded Syria. Thus, unleashing the Turkish beast and enabling the revival of the Turkish Empire. So this was horrendous. So under the Trump administration, you know, we've seen some pretty bad things. Under the Obama administration, under the Bush administration, we saw some pretty terrible things. Under Bush, we saw what? We saw the destruction of Iraq. And we saw the destruction of Iraq and the creation of a vacuum that would be filled by Islamic fundamentalists. Hence the rise of ISIS. We saw that under the Obama administration. We saw the destruction of Syria, the beginning of the destruction of Syria under the Obama administration. And we saw the rise of Islamic fanaticism in the Middle East, especially after Obama did a speech in Egypt supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. That was absolutely horrendous. So under Obama, we saw the unleashing of Islamic fundamentalism. Under Bush, we saw the beginning of that with the execution of Saddam Hussein and the beginning of the destruction of the Middle East, the destabilization of the Middle East. And under Trump, we saw the unleashing of Turkey, and we also saw the unleashing of Iran. The breaking of the fetters that were placed on Iran through the Iran deal. We saw that under Trump. So there are things to praise the Trump administration for, the Supreme Court, but they are things to criticize the administration for. Just like under Obama, they are things that we should commend the Obama administration for, like the Iran deal. I know none of you guys are going to agree with me on this. But that's out of all the things that Obama did, that's the one thing about the Obama administration that I think was good, was that, the Iran deal. And I think that's one thing that Obama wanted to solidify for his legacy. You know, he wanted to make a name for himself. Hey, I helped bring peace with the Iranians. For the conservatives to bash Obama for that is pretty hypocritical, given the fact that conservatives praised Trump for trying to bring peace between North and South Korea by having a negotiation with Kim Jong-un. Now, I have no problem with Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un as long as the intention of Trump is to bring peace, and I have no issue with that. Just like Eugenio Pacelli meeting with Hitler didn't mean that Eugenio Pacelli supported Hitler. It just meant that he was trying to bring peace between the church and the German regime. No problem doing that. Blessed are the peacemakers. I have no problem with Trump meeting with Kim Jong-un. Just as I had no problem with Obama meeting with the Iranians and trying to forge a deal. So that's the thing. Now, under a Biden administration, would we be seeing the reestablishment of the Iran deal? It's possible, but unlikely, because what the Trump administration did in regards to the Iran deal had lasting damaging effects, and the damage is there. Are the Iranians going to trust a Biden administration? I doubt it. The Iranians can simply say, well, we tried to make a deal with you before, and you guys broke it, so why the hell should we make a deal with you guys again? So the damage that the Trump administration did in regards to Iran is already there. Another thing that I was very critical of the Trump administration for is what he did with Japan. Now, similar things were happening under the Obama administration, but I think under Trump it was a little bit more accentuated. And that was that, for example, when Trump was campaigning, he said, if Japan wants to nuke North Korea, let him do it. That's pretty horrific. Now, North Korea, I'm not praising it, but if Japan ever nuked North Korea, that would be literally the commencing of the revival of the Japanese Empire. Japan would invade North Korea, they would have occupation troops, and hey, if we got North Korea, why the hell not just go expand into China? So that was bad. The backing of Japan, basically saying, hey, let's promote the increase in Japanese militarization, that was horrendous. Now, the same kind of thing was happening under Obama, so I can't just single out Trump for that. American foreign policy is funny that way. It's not just the president who has a say-so. There is an entire militarist apparatus that has a lot of power that can override the president, and that does things it does things regardless of who the president is. So we have to remember that. It's not all on the shoulders of the president. Now, interestingly, though, when Obama was president, there was a meeting between Biden and the president of China, Xi Jinping. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but Biden essentially told the leader of China that, hey, you got to keep your friend North Korea in check, because if you don't, the Japanese will, and that's going to look ugly. Now, I remember writing an article on that encounter and saying what Biden said was absolutely true. So, is a Biden presidency going to be bad? Of course, there's going to be bad things about it, but at the same time, it's not going to be that bad, guys. It's not going to be that bad. They are legitimate criticisms of the Trump administration, not just in regards to the unleashing of Turkey, etc. But at the same time, Trump did exasperate tensions between Americans and illegal immigrants. And you can say, well, that's legitimate because they're not citizens. They're not citizens, but they're still human beings. And we have, for a long time, this country has absorbed undocumented workers because it's cheap labor for us. So it's a part of the American system because we want to have cheap agricultural goods. And so in a way, the undocumented workers actually benefit the U.S. economy. Now, I think we should have a better system in which these people are brought here through legal channels. They're allowed to work for a certain amount of time. In many cases, there should be some sort of a system by which they can stay in the country for a long time, perhaps even permanently, and work and make money and live happy lives. And at the same time, there should be have some sort of equilibrium between workers and the agricultural system that doesn't make products too expensive, and at the same time doesn't jeopardize the human rights of these people. I think we can forge that and make that happen. But nonetheless, looking at the reality of the situation, undocumented workers and immigrants in general are good for the U.S. economy. They do benefit the U.S. economy. At the same time, there needs to be some sort of a system put in place where immigration doesn't hurt American workers who, I don't want to sound derogatory, but American workers who don't have a college degree and they do cheap labor. Like, there should be some sort of system that allows a good harmony between American citizens who do cheap labor and undocumented workers who do cheap labor. I'm going off on a huge tangent here. Maybe I drank too much black tea. I'm not entirely sure. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad, guys. If Biden becomes the president, okay, guess what? We have another 4 years of a Trump legacy. We're going to have another 4 years of an Obama-associated presidency. We had Obama for 2 terms, and we could have his vice president for 4 years or so. Who knows? Yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. It's not going to be that bad. Calm down. I think we're going to be okay. We got the Senate. We got the Supreme Court. It's going to be bumpy. It's not going to be perfect. But nonetheless, it's not going to be that bad. Plus, under a Biden presidency, we'll have a lot to laugh about. And Biden is going to add new words to the English language. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you guys have learned something from this video. You guys just heard some theology. God bless.